Hey guys, Arm&Gun here today with your daily dose of gun education, though this time we're talking about gear. And some guns, because the genesis of this video is actually a multi-day 16-mile backcountry hiking camping trip through bear country. So there are some guns to talk about as well. But the focus will be on a bunch of super awesome military, for the most part, military combat gear that I guarantee will enhance your life and give you the deep-seated satisfaction that you just can't get from normie stuff. Looking at you, Cabela's random brand backpack. R-Star. All right, let's do this. Guys, gals, fellow gear whores, rejoice, for I am here to validate all of your coveted Gucci gear desires and rationalize your ridiculous and over-the-top expenditures. At least to a degree, in an effort to maintain at least some legitimacy, I'll only speak to the gear I actually used and how it actually made a significant impact on my recent trip relative to the meh gear I had to contrast it against. Alright, so this is going to be a decently long and large video, so a couple things of importance up front. Who is this video for? Who's going to benefit from slugging it out with me through this thing? Well, let me tell you. Gear whores, obviously, who need validation. But we've already discussed that. And that's actually going to apply whether or not you ever fancy yourself a hiker. Because you know what? Someday, you just might be. Or the world as you know it will end, and everything is basically going to turn into backcountry survival mode. Anyways, but that's probably already your main excuse for the already large pile of unused shit at the fan gear. So there you go. Also going to apply for the would-be or amateur backcountry enthusiasts who are looking to learn some good tips, because throughout this video, and especially at the end, I'm going to have a bunch of juicy little knowledge nuggets for you guys. Maybe some elite hikers too can benefit, guys who may have overlooked some of the, non-Osprey, North Face, typical hiker-friendly brands. Because we ain't talking about none of that here, except for Jetboil. You've probably heard of Jetboil. Jetboil's good stuff. Also good for gun guys, because to be honest, we're all gear guys too at heart, and are forever looking for more and better reasons to keep buying this stuff and justify it and rationalize it. Rationalize it to ourselves, justify it to our wives or significant others. So there you go. Or just the friends who judge us for it. Even I have those. And realistically, this is probably the most practical application for a lot of your kit anyways. So again, just good to hop on and learn this stuff with me. And lastly, for the fans of the channel who are just here for the talking arms, I love ya. Now for the structure of this video, so you guys can all follow along, this will probably line up pretty well with the timeline down below. I'm going to give you a bit of a background on the trip itself. I'll do a quick kind of run-through flyby of all the gear I'm going to talk about in this video. Then it'll be all the learnings from this trip. I'm going to discuss what I wished I had. Again, this is only my second big backcountry trip ever. And it was already way better than my first because I kind of had that experience to go off of. But there's still a lot of significant room to improve and to get everything kind of dialed in. So we're going to cover that as well. Then my regrets. So both in what I forgot to pack and also stuff I packed that I wish I hadn't / I didn't need. And I would have rather just save the space and wait. Gonna have a bunch of quick tips at the end, kind of some multiple uses for some key gear, and more or less a packing list to basically plan your own backcountry multi-day trip on. And then lastly, how I, as a flatlander, prepared for the 60-ish mile trip with approximately 1.5 miles in realized elevation increase and decreases, of which carrying a full pack for about 2/3 of that. But for the start, a little bit of background on this trip. Now, I did this trip exactly 8 years ago, almost to the day, with my best friend. And this time we not only chose to double down on the duration and the difficulty, but we also brought our wives. Big kudos for the ladies for sticking it out with us. Now, for better or for worse, we all had varying degrees of meh gear, and we were all pretty much in the same pretty decent comparable shape, athleticism-wise, so I can kind of compare from that angle as well how our trips went. Because they were pretty much an individual experience for each of us, and the stuff that I had definitely gave me a leg up on more than one occasion. Of course, some of my gear sucked as well, so we're going to talk about that and what I plan to do with it. But yes, definitely made a huge difference and really enhanced the enjoyment that I got out of this trip. So yes, the gear is expensive. No, I didn't take the Ronin. That would have been silly, and I probably would have freaked out some fellow hikers, but a lot of this other stuff did go. And again, while expensive, when you spend precious money and take valuable time off and travel tons of miles to get to a place like we went, which was in the Rockies. Super cool place. I'll show some videos later. It's worth spending a little extra on gear that's not only going to make it better, It's also going to mitigate some of the crappy elements that could otherwise ruin your trip. Plus, this gear by its nature is super durable and is going to last you a long time. Bonus, you can use it in everyday life as well. I use, well, at least the combat shirt and the combat pants all the time. So I'll break this video up into relevant sections. Feel free to skip ahead to the bear gun part if that's all you're here for. Yes, there were bears. But do note that true fans watch it all, even the sponsorship plugs. Guys, today's first featured partner of the video is GearPack. These guys do a monthly subscription service. It's awesome. If you guys like EDC, like camping, fishing, hunting, I've been getting their boxes now for a little over a year, and honestly, I've thrown so much useful stuff into our camping tote, and it actually gets used. Huge shout out to these guys. There should be an affiliate link in the description below. If not, it should be there very soon. Check it out. These guys are great. And if you get their premium box every month, you pretty much get a really nice folder every month. And that's actually been my main work folder that I just always have on me. It's nice, it's sharp, but it's not like a $300 collectible knife that I don't want to get a scratch in. So they do work, and next month I'm gonna have another one. All right, so quick overview of the gear I'm gonna show you today here. We've got the UF Pro ULT, the ultralight combat pants. They make a lot of pants, but these are the best suited for backcountry hiking, camping, in my opinion, for serious stuff anyways, and I'll tell you why. We got their Boonie cap, we got their new XT Gen 3 combat shirt. Again, this is the best combat shirt for this type of application in my opinion. I took their Generation 2 as well and compared and contrast, and again, the 3 is just so much nicer. The next most significant piece of gear was the Hill People Gear kit bag. That thing was my best friend. I had it with me the entire time. We had the Camelbak hydration pack, 3 liter. That thing was freaking awesome. First time I've actually really used a hydration pack. I know, I'm a rookie move. That thing is, man, I will never not do a hydration pack again. So good. But there's some stuff missing from that setup that I will talk about that I'm looking to add for my next trip. This super light shell from Qilo Tactical, rain jacket, windbreaker. This thing was, talk about that, that was awesome. Also their prison wallet, little dangler slash gear pack here. Love that thing. Gloves proved important. I had a little fixed blade from Halfbreed Blades, awesome company. The bear gun, which we'll talk about, and then some other really handy stuff that's really unaffiliated with this channel, but Jetboil, this thing was awesome. I would not do another backcountry trip without one of those, because this was an amazing experience. I highly recommend doing something like this, but it is going to suck if you don't prepare properly. So I've more or less done this trip twice now. After that, I've got it pretty much dialed into how I would do it going forward for the third time, which I plan to do because it was that good. So it's my hope that this also serves as a useful hiking, what to do guide. All right, guys, amazing gear section 1, kicking it off with the apparel from UF Pro. Quick disclaimer, and I'll let you feast your eyes on this glorious gun wall while I tell you, I'm gonna really nerd out here for this next section, especially the stuff on UF Pro, because I researched the heck out of it and I'm kind of a nerd about it as well. It's just freaking cool. All the stuff that goes into this technical clothing. So bear with me while I do that. I'm also the kind of person that the more I know about something, the more I can actually appreciate it. If I understand all the ways it's benefiting me, I can look for those things and notice them and just really nerd out about it. So gonna get a little bit in the weeds with some of this stuff. If you don't like it, skip ahead or just suck it up and learn with me. It's gonna be a good one. This stuff is all straight from a company that specializes in highly technical clothing that addresses the super tough and critical needs of the military and law enforcement. A lot of this stuff is literally designed with fabrics to maximize comfort and minimize wear when worn with plate carriers, and here's the applicable part, heavy packs. Also with a bunch of special features and materials to beat the heat and manage sweat. Also definitely meant for wannabe LARPers like me. But I actually did it, and trust me, successfully LARPing in real life, like I did on this trip, man, you will get that inner satisfaction that just about nothing else provides. All right, guys, first up, the Boonie. Once you go Boonie, I'm definitely not going back. Guys, this thing was awesome. It's super lightweight. I basically wore this thing perched on top of my head, like also ignore all of the encrusted salt from my sweat. On this trip, I was definitely a water-cooled unit. I learned that about myself. I was going through about 3 liters per 12 miles. 60-mile trip. I drank a lot that weekend. Anyways, this thing is ultra light. It's got a little bendy in there. You can just get the brim to where you want it. But what I liked so much about this over a baseball cap, because I hadn't used one of these on a trip like this before, is you kind of just perch it on top of your head, and whatever the direction the sun is coming in, you kind of just tilt it a little bit like that, and you keep the sun off your face, out of your eyes. This thing is awesome. It's also super vented to keep the breeze going over top of your head. You lose a lot of heat through your head, so that's good, especially if you're trying to stay cool like I was. This retention strap is also awesome. Whenever you don't want the hat on, you just tip it off and it's around the collar of your shirt. Stays back there, again, protects your neck from sunburn. So quick little side note, I don't like rubbing sunscreen and bug spray all over myself. I just don't like it, especially if I can't wash it off right away. And when you're embarking on a multi-day 60-mile backcountry trip, well, there's not gonna be a lot of opportunities, say for glacial streams and lakes, that you're gonna do that. So I opted to using it as sparingly as possible. This is what I wore basically for the main hikes in and out. So basically my legs are fully covered, my arms are mostly fully covered. I did roll up my sleeves, we'll talk about that. These are awesome for that. Otherwise, I just put some on my face to be safe and then relied on this to take care of the rest. Now for bug spray, again, even grosser, like that stuff's gross to spray on yourself. Was fully covered, so I wasn't too worried about bug bites on my legs, anything like that. Mostly I just didn't want things buzzing around my face. So gave a couple spritzes on my shoulders and then doused this thing in DEET, threw it on top of my head, and that pretty much kept the bugs away. So that I found very handy and it kept the spray off me. Anyways, that's the Boonie. Oh, also, it's nice for wind protection as well. So at one point we climbed a mountain and we were traversing from one peak to another. So right on top of this ridge, it was super windy and me and my buddy. So I actually had this thing, retention strap around my neck, positioned on the side of my face vertically. The wind kept it there, and that actually in turn kept the wind out of my ears, which was really, and like the grit and stuff out of my eyes. That was nice. Meanwhile, my buddy who had a baseball cap, he had the thing in his hand because he didn't want to blow off. It had blown off, and he's running around like that. One of his hands is no longer free while we're scrambling across this surface, and just not a good day. He's now decided he's getting one of these hats for our next trip as well. So yay for boonies. Okay, next up, this thing was a lifesaver. I loved this shirt. This is the XT Gen 3, Striker XT Gen 3 from UF Pro. I had their Gen 2 with me as well, and I've got their regular Striker X shirt. I would recommend this for civilian applications, hands down. For fitness stuff, again, I'm going to talk about how I was training for this trip, but I use this thing lots. Honestly, super comfortable shirt. So let's try it on for you guys. It's got a multitude of different materials going on in here that are doing different things to just maximize your comfort and the durability of the shirt. So the torso materials first. This stuff is super stretchy. It's an athletic fit that fits, kind of like hugs your skin, which is good, like a modern athletic shirt. It's meant to manage sweat. So as you sweat, the fabric pulls it in and manages it for you. So it's not just dripping down your body and being gross. It's being pulled into this, which helps cool you, and then it also dries really quickly. And it's also designed with the fact that you have either a plate carrier or a big backpack on. So you got this durable nylon mesh and whatnot here for, again, plate carrier, gunsling, whatever, but it's still, those are things that are going to be on your body, causing you to heat up a lot in this area. Materials meant to deal with it. You got this nice zipper here. You can have it nice and low to let the curlies fly or just stay cool. The underarm area, again, all through here, this is where your body produces a ton of heat. This is all super ventilated, meant to get it right out of there. So that's good. There's a merino blend, a merino wool blend in the underarm in this area. So it's meant to manage odor. I can say when I use this shirt to train, I did a lot of like day hikes, or well, I'll get into what I did, but I didn't wash this thing until right before the trip. Just starting to smell. That was great. The sleeves are a polyester cotton blend that they use in all their gear. And it's a nice ripstop material, really durable. My buddy who had t-shirts on got a nasty gash on his arm from passing through trees. Wouldn't have been a problem. This stuff definitely would have dealt with it. Now you have upper arm pockets, which you zip open like this little tab to bite. Literally, you bite this to just give you reverse tension on this. You can open separately easily. You can put stuff in here. For the most part, I didn't. Again, I had the kit bag, which I'll get into in a second. That held all my gear. So I just left this open as additional venting. I question why they didn't have actual mesh in here. They said it's to reinforce the structure of this pocket. I actually asked them before I did this video. Still not sure about that. I would like mesh in here personally, but that's just, what do I know? You got Velcro for your morale patches and a little spot here for a pen or a chem light. Now the sleeves are super bulky, and I like that because you can cinch them down tight, but you can also have them nice and loose, and you can roll them up. I literally just hiked them all the way up. I had them typically over my forearms about here. It's a fun fact, when, well, basically your two areas on your forearms that produce the most heat are going to be your wrists and inside of your elbows here. A lot of veins near the surface, a lot of heat gets out of there. So if you can get those things basically swinging in the breeze when you're walking, it's going to help cool you down pretty quick. Even just try it sometimes. If you're like really hot and sweaty, just try blowing on your arm. You'll notice that you feel the cold air the most in your wrist and your elbow. At least I do. You got a nice, comfortable, tall collar. Again, sunscreen protection, bug protection. That's great. Now, there's a secret in here, and it is actually one of my favorite parts about this. And it was awesome, again, for training and for the backpacking part. And these air packs. There's little foam things that are in here, 8 millimeters thick. And what this does, allows air to circulate. It also displaces the load of your backpack. Your backpack basically rests right on there. This helps displace it across your shoulder. And my left shoulder is kind of bad. It bothers me. It was acting up on this trip as well, but man, this shirt made a big difference. And part of the reason my shoulder was acting up was due to a crappy backpack, and that's something I'm going to replace, but we're going to talk about that real soon. One more thing, their XT Gen 2 shirt also has a heavier kind of wrist area. There's another pocket down here in some molly, which as a civilian doesn't benefit you. I couldn't think of a use for it, so I'm glad I had this one. I had that one as well, and I wore it, and this one was definitely my preference by a long shot. Also, the Gen 3 has something that their Striker X shirt has, which is this hip padding, which again, you're hiking, if you got a good backpack, you're gonna have solid waist retention system, which is gonna help transfer the weight to your hips. And this is, again, one more layer to displace that and keep your hips nice. My wife did have a good backpack like that had a proper hip retention system to get the weight into your hips. But again, over the duration of the trip, it was like 40 miles just with heavy packs on. And she had marks on both her hips just from the abrasion of the constant wear and the pressure points there. So something to be said for that as well. Now, if you're a fan of my channel, you know that I'm no stranger to UF Pro pants. Fancy ass pants that cost $200 or more. They're my jam. Awesome. This company makes, again, a bunch of different types of pants. They all are a little bit different, do a little different things, excel in different areas. And these, the ULTs, the Ultra Lights, these excel for serious backcountry camping and hiking endeavors. Fun fact, all their pants basically use this shoulder stretch, super durable stretchy fabric, and it is fantastic. One of my favorite parts about the pants is this fabric. Super good. Literally, this is like Lulu pant fabric for dudes or females that like combat pants. Anyways, here we go. So what's great about these pants? Well, let me tell you. With them on, guys, these things are great. The waist flex system on these things is fantastic. There's a stretchy panel in here, and then coupled with this unique integrated belt system, these keep these pants anchored to your body exactly where they need to be. And you can adjust them throughout the day. It's really cool. That coupled with the anatomical design, basically that means the inseam is super high, which means like, whoop, it's right up there. Anyways, guys, the waist flex system, this thing is really cool. So Armin Wagner, the kind of brains behind UF Pro, the way he designed this was for soldiers that are going out on big treks, training trek exercises, whatever. You're hitting the bush with a big backpack and you're going all day. So your pants over the course of the day are gonna be, well, they're not gonna fit properly because your waist is gonna shrink. Your body is gonna adapt over the course of this strenuous physical exercise. If your pants don't really adapt with your body, they're not gonna fit your hips anymore. They're gonna sag down, and that's just not good for a whole bunch of reasons. Again, the inseam there, that's important for the old spicy thigh syndrome. So to get real with you guys here, my thigh gap isn't exactly where I'd like it. So when you're working up a sweat hiking, a storm can be brewing down there, and yeah, spicy thigh syndrome, not a good time. That chafage can be a real trip ender. Definitely don't recommend it. So you want that inseam up tight so it's fabric on fabric and your thighs are on ice, and it is, wow, muy bien. So this system is awesome. It's Velcro, so it's got unlimited adjustment. You basically just adjust it from side to side, both sides adjustment. Throughout the day, you just feel a little loose, just, and then, and you're good to go. Back in business. Double loops everywhere, so you can have a gear belt or war belt, whatever, on top of it. Duty belt, great. Again, we got the stretchy shoulder fabric in the parts where it counts, where you're really moving and you want the flex to work with you. These have really streamlined pocket system because they're ultralights. These only weigh 0.85 kilos or 1.85 pounds or so for a 34 waist, 34 length. I'm smaller than that in both dimensions, so yay me, they're even lighter. Now, normally when I'm geeking out about UF Pro pants, I'm all about the pockets. The fact that the pockets are usually built first in the pants or like around them, which was my main comment for the P40 All-Terrains and Striker HTs, which were the star of my previous video on the pants. Yes, I did a full video on pants. They are that good and that significant in my life. But these, I don't really care about the pockets that much, because when I'm hiking, I've got this little dude on me, the Kill People Gear kit bag. I'll talk about this more in a second, But basically, that is what takes all the stuff out of my pockets into that. So when I'm hiking, I realized I don't like stuff all over the place. When I'm my legs are moving a ton, I just want them free and clear. Less gear, less heat buildup, all that kind of stuff. Better if there's just nothing on there. All I had was a little Surefire stiletto in here, a little flashlight, and a little folder in here, and that's it. And then they're basically riding up here anyway, so they're not really moving very much, so that's fine. We also have vents. These are designed for a hot temperature, dealing with heat, managing sweat, all that kind of stuff, right? So we've got your thigh vents right here. So that's cool, vintage right in there. These pockets are all mesh as well. And to really cool down, I'm gonna take these pants off for you to show the rest. And you've also got vents back here as well. It can be vented, but you can also cinch it down around your boots. You've got a little boot lace hook here as well to kind of make them act as gaiters so they don't ride up when you're going through dense bush. So yeah, overall, these pants were awesome. I tried switching to shorts for a day. No. The fact that these did not chafe was amazing. Last important thing about these pants, I know they just go on forever. In the back area here, the small of your back lumbar area, there's an additional pad that's sewn in. This thing is awesome. This is worth it. Just to bear with me through this last section. It's thick, it's gushy, and what it does is most people, especially the more fit you are, you can have more of a deeper pocket in the small of your back there. It helps keep the pants adhered to your body, which is great. It helps manage sweat. Sweat doesn't just pool and drip down there. It comes into this and it gets evaporated and there's air circulation, all that good stuff. But where this gets really good for hiking is your lumbar. So a proper backpack is meant to bring all of the weight down into your lumbar area to be spread across your hips, all that good stuff. That hits right here. Lots of times the aluminum stays in backpacks. They hit here. So this is just added displacement padding to work with that. So that's awesome. And then further, again, the sweat management is real. When we stopped after a particularly long run, about 8 miles, and it was hot. This was pretty hot during the daytime part of this hike. Everyone was sweating, and actually your back and your shirt, everything overlapped this. We got out, sweat was just soaked. You saw the line of sweat all through here on most of us, and we affectionately referred to it as the damp stamp. So that was pretty funny, and the name stuck, and we liked it, and I didn't really suffer from it nearly as badly, despite the fact that I sweat probably more. So this, the effect was real. Next up, this little super packable jacket. It's a little bit warmer. The Hunter FZ full zip from UF Pro. It weighs barely more than a pound, and again, really nice, packs up light. This was my only other jacket for the trip. I had this as a mid layer, and then the Qilo shell as an outer layer, in case it was rainy or windy or whatever. And this was awesome. Also, it's nice and soft, very soft, so I'd throw this inside my pillowcase, and it'd be my pillow for the night. Or I did something else with it as well. Basically got a tip for you guys at the end of the video, guys that like leg pillows, so I'll touch on that later. Now, the Qilo shell, my outer layer, again, it's just very, very light, probably like half a pound, and so like it just packs up into like nothing. So again, really like that. It's just a great insurance policy because you don't want to get wet on your trip. So have a nice light shell like this. Next up, their prison wallet. This just a little packable thing. What I found was a lot of big backpacking, backcountry backpacks are basically like a giant tube, and that's kind of it. And you also kind of want it to be like that because you don't want a bunch of complexity inside and whatnot in there. You kind of just want the freedom to stuff all your stuff in there. But you don't want to, get to camp. Lots of times backcountry, you're moving. So you get to one campsite, you unpack everything, set up camp. The next day you pack everything back up again and go. So you don't want to have a big mess and constantly spend like a half an hour repacking your bag every time. So it's nice to have sub packs within your pack to keep like groups or whatever of your stuff organized. So this was kind of like my deodorant, toothbrush, all that kind of stuff. I just threw it in here and zipped it up, and I could have ditched the sling. Got these little quick clips on here, but I found that we were hiking in a wooded area. So whenever we got to camp, I kind of just emptied out my bag and with the loops, hung everything up on trees, and then I kind of had nice, fast access to everything. So I kind of like that. But also these things are meant to function as a dangler on a plate carrier. So you got lots of Velcro here. Stick it, or if you have a backpack that has proper, loop Velcro inside, you can stick it to that and you can kind of daisy chain them and have a bunch of these things in there. So I would definitely pack more next time. I only took one, and I definitely could have used 2 or 3. And then again, clothing-wise, with socks, stuff like that, I'll give you a couple more quick tips at the end of the video. The next featured partner is right at home in this type of video because Air Armor Tech builds lightweight, air-filled gun cases. They are super awesome, they are super light, and they're very protective. I've heard my buddies tell me that they chuck these things out of helicopters when they're dropping, and they hold up just fine. Also, when not in use, rolls up about the size of a sleeping bag. Again, that is awesome. I'm a bit space constrained, so when I don't have one laying out here, it is exactly rolled up and stowed. All right, guys, the piece de resistance of my trip, apart from the pants and the shirt, those things are freaking awesome. This is the Hill People Gear kit bag. This is like a little front backpack thing you wear. You have a little H harness you flip over your back, and this thing actually rests on the front of your torso. This thing is amazing. And don't mind the rattly bits. Those are some hiker's Tic Tacs, which I also highly recommend for the morning after the first big hike and the morning after that. They were definitely more important than coffee for getting me up in the morning. But I digress. This thing is fantastic. Also in places where you can, such as the Great USA, this is an awesome carry option if you want to have your gun accessible on the front without having it like on your belt and in person and whatever when you're on hiking trails. There's a little concealed compartment back here that really gets you fast access to a firearm. You can have a holster in there, or there's a little loop you can attach a little trigger guard, something like a Glock, and it's awesome. We've got demonstrations where it's super fast to rip this open, draw, and an awesome option. And it's also almost the perfect size to fit a takedown mare's leg in. Ask me how I know. We'll talk about that in a little bit though. So there's that. There's this molly cut section inside. You can put, again, Velcro patches or molly patches, pals, whatever. And there's also loops in the front, and there's these little nice organizer pouches, which are great for like a phone. I oftentimes had my wife's phone as well, because these were just super handy. This is right on your body. Zip, you can just toss a phone if someone wants a picture or video, whatever. The scenery was gorgeous in this place. Lots of wildlife as well, but just great. And then the front compartment also had lots of awesome stuff. A flask. I did have a flask. I got this flask. Fun story, at Loch Ness, Scotland. Pretty darn cool. It is a Highland cow. And if you're on a backcountry hiking trip, you're not going to want to be packing in beer. I highly recommend a dense spirit. Our poison of choice was some 105 proof cinnamon schnapps. Anyways, other little kit. I had this thing full. All the stuff I normally carry in my pockets was in here. Gloves, everything. And actually, the bottom here is perfect for bear spray. Get a little holster for that. You can whip that out, have it nice and handy. On the hike back, I actually had my sleeping bag hung off this as well. Not the greatest, but it definitely worked because it's kind of bumping into me. I didn't have better retention for it, which is, again, something I regretted not having more of, is retention straps. But hey, it worked. And this thing was awesome on its own. But when paired with a backpack, it was even better. It has these grim locks up here, which fasten into lifter straps, which are these things right here. So you just clip these onto your backpack, and then you clip those into the grim locks, and you can snug this up, and this basically turns that thing now is hanging off of this thing, which counterbalances the weight from your shoulders really nicely. It also keeps multiple straps from like moving and shifting independently as you're hiking, which I tried for a little while just to get a feel for it, and yes, it sucks. Like right up on your neck, not nice. But with this system, you tie both together, and it is awesome. It feels way better in the shoulders. It helps balance out the load. It's just really nice. And you can transfer these quick clips to other packs as well. We went for our mountain climb on the second day. I transferred those quick clips into here. This wasn't as optimal for doing stuff, but I did it, and it worked off this really well as well. This was a little Camelbak like hydration bladder. Hydration bladders, again, amazing. I just wish I didn't have to have a standalone one. I would have liked something that used a 2 or 3 liter for that trip. Now I can make my gear setup a little bit more efficient. Hill People gear actually makes a cool little slip as well that would essentially replace this. It holds a hydration bladder, has some laser cut pals for attaching other kit on the back, but it would simplify this. It would take the H harness off of that. So I'd probably do that next time. So we just dial down extra straps and get the gear a little more dialed in. Again, I can't say enough good things about this bag. I'm going to buy more stuff from them. And after my incredible experience with this bag, I decided to go look back at their whole backpack system and everything as well. Because as their name suggests, Hill People Gear, they're literally all about hiking in mountainous, wilderness, desert, forest. It's awesome. And the owners of this company are truly passionate about what they do. It's kind of like Armin Wagner with UF Pro. You watch his I highly recommend going and check out that channel, watch his videos. You will gain such a better appreciation for how truly technical clothing is and how amazing it is, how much thought and science and everything goes into it. It's crazy. I would consider Evan Hill to be the Armin Wagner for this kind of stuff. Really cool, really well thought out. I'm 100% interested in their Decker backpack system. It's modular. It looks like a backcountry backpacker's like dream. So super excited about that. And anyways, just great. It's super great construction, made in the USA, made actually by First Spear is their manufacturing partner. They make a lot of super sick stuff as well for the military. They get really, really good quality as well. So you can trust that. Anyways, lots of good stuff to say. Check them out. So much cool gear. And they've got a great YouTube channel where they talk a lot about backcountry topics and stuff as well. I learned a lot of that. Thankfully, I watched a lot of that after my trip. So I'm going to be incorporating a lot of their learnings into my next trip, hopefully really soon. All right, here you go. So this is the kit bag on you, just stand alone. There's the H harness back there. You can snug this up. You want to wear this higher than not, definitely more comfortable. And again, if you're rocking a carry piece, boom, HK P7 M13 at the ready. And then when pairing with the full pack, you pop open these grim locks, grab your lifter straps, which are hooked in here via these little quick links. Just loop that through there, through here, cinch tight to your desired kind of height, and then it just floats. It just pulls off the weight from there, counterbalances. It is beautiful. And with a large kit bag, you literally have enough room to carry a freaking Scorpion. Boom diggity. Camelbak hydration, or hydration in general, but the Camelbak system I think is pretty cool. It's also the one I have, the one I use, the one I love. I kept fueling, it kept going on the go. So instead of having to wait for rest breaks and the whole group decided to stop to drink, I didn't have to wait. I just had this thing over my shoulder, tucked into my Hill People Gear bag actually, because my backpack had crappy hydration routing, so I just tucked it into the zipper of that. Worked great. But yeah, every couple hundred meters, I'd be taking a swig from this thing. And as a general rule of thumb goes, if you're thirsty, you're already somewhat dehydrated. So better to just keep drinking. Again, you don't have to stop the group to take a drink, and you don't have to wait for a stop to drink. You can just drink. And pro tip, at nighttime, you can just have this thing chilling, have this thing routed up by your face, and then in the dead of night, when you get that little urge to drink something, you just pop this in your mouth and suckle that little guy, and you don't have to disturb your tent mates at all. Unfortunately for me, no one else had this, so they could not extend that consideration element to me when they wanted water. So lots of wrestling, waking up, and then remembering that you're in bear country and that you could get eaten at any moment. So be a good tent mate, get a hydration bladder. Featured partner number 3, the RPG-7, just kidding. Mira Safety, the guys bringing the gas mask into the 21st century. This thing is awesome. 100%, this should be part of every prepper's stash, is something like this. They got nuclear ones, radiation ones, all kinds of stuff. So check them out, affiliate link in the description below. All right, back now talking about stuff that I wish I had for this trip, that I will definitely have for the next trip. And I finished with this, we're gonna start with this again. So, filtration. I go through a lot of water. There were lots of alpine streams, which we drew water from, and I probably shouldn't have drank from all of them. I definitely drank from some of them out of necessity, but that is what it is. I wish I had filtration. And there's I thought to myself on this hike, it'd be really cool if there was like a life straw-ish type thing that fit in line with the hose, so you could just suck from your bladder and just be, you know, filtration water right on tap. Well, got home, realized there is exactly that. Camelbak makes it. It's called their MAPS system. And it's basically just, yeah, filter plunks right into there. And then you plug this into that, and there you go. Semi-hard to find. I looked in Canada, and like my best bet is actually a store called DS Tactical in Vancouver. I'm super sorry I hadn't looked them up before because they have a ton of great stuff. If you're Canadian, definitely check them out. DS Tactical, tons of great kit for hiking, all sorts of good stuff, tactical stuff, a lot of cool stuff. Check them out. Shameless plug, I literally just went on their site and built a massive wish list of a bunch of stuff that I would love to get. Faro concepts, all sorts of cool stuff. Even got First Spear's stuff. They should probably carry some Hill People gear. I would highly recommend that to them. But tons of other great stuff. And Camelbak map system, which I'm definitely gonna need to grab. Okay, other stuff for next time, the Hill People gear. Hill People gear, all the things. I definitely want another kit bag, probably their Snubby in elk, looks awesome. I want their full Decker backpacking system, I think that's gonna be awesome. And I'm probably gonna upgrade my typical travel/day bag system as well. Because again, the kit they have is just so cool and it works together. It's modular. It's really cool. Highly recommend checking it out. Gonna take an extra combat shirt because I had the Gen 2, which I don't need anymore. I'm definitely gonna stick with another Gen 3 for the next one. Or I guess I could just take one Gen 3 and dunk it in the river after a long day, just get the sweat out of it, and then air dry it because it does dry really fast and then be good to go for the next day. So super light, comfy shoes. Basically, at the end of the long day, nothing feels better than getting out of those dang hiking shoes. I had Keens. They were awesome. They were great. I got them the week before, which I really don't recommend because I barely had enough time to break them in. But they worked. They were amazing. Loved them. Nope. Very few blisters. But it would have been nice to have some slip-on slides, or actually, I was one of the fanboys of the Vibram 5 Fingers, so that would be nice as well. The really ultralight KSOs, rubber soles. They make some nice water shoes. A little bit freaked out because last time we did this trip, one of our friends cut off a chunk of her toe on a sharp rock in the glacial water when we took a dip. So water shoes recommended if you're getting into a rocky stream or lake. A PALS compatible sheath for bear spray. I had mine just tucked into my Hill People Gear kit bag all the time, and it would have been nicer to have it like actually in a proper retention, little handy to ready to go sheath instead of just tucked in an open zipper. Super light shorts. Again, those pants will get you through everything for the big backcountry stuff. But you're just chilling at camp at night, if the bugs aren't too bad, or if you want to be conservative when you do your glacial dips. A nice little pair of like lightweight athletic shorts would be nice. Was kicking myself big time for not bringing this, the G-Shock watch. Backcountry, definitely friendly, but I also need to spend some more time and learn how it works because it was cool, so I got it, but I need to learn how this thing works. It's got a lot of cool functionality that I think would be really useful for my next trip, especially in areas where you don't really have service. And then lastly, as I mentioned earlier, better retention straps or extra retention straps for like my sleeping bag, sleeping roll, things like that were kind of just bouncing around because I had them attached loosely, just with their own clips and stuff. And yeah, not ideal. All right, gun dudes, the moment you've been waiting for, the bear gun. So this is the Miller's Leg 44 Magnum. This thing, oh, I love this thing. So why does this make a great backpack, backcountry, bear gun, whatever in Canada? Well, again, clear. This thing is civilian legal. It's a very small, very packable, not to mention this guy right here is a takedown unit. Twist out the mag tube, unlock, twist, and boom. There you go. Taken down. This thing will literally fit inside this, but just barely. Barely. So not the best thing, because again, if you surprise a mad grizzly, you probably got very limited time. And in the heat of the moment, struggling to get this out, put this thing together, you can see where I'm going with this. It's not super ideal in a very high stress. Yeah, not exactly the fastest solution. Plus, you still have to load it. Though bonus, in Canada, you can't really run around with a loaded firearm, so this is still much better than a tube loader, the side loader, so you can get to this point, shove one in there, rack it. But yeah, all of that, while facing down and potentially angry, ready to charge grizzly, not ideal. Again, in America, you can just rip out a club. You can rip out a VZ61 submachine gun, machine pistol, and just greet that bear with a swarm of angry bees. Not in the Canadian Rockies, though. This is possible. Skinner sights also kind of nice. So what I would do going forward is invest in the Hill People Gear system, particularly the Decker backpack system. So that's comprised of a suspension system, like your straps, your waist, the whole suspension, the whole frame for the backpack itself. And then you have different modular bags that sit inside that you can swap out. That's why, again, some of the joy of the modularity of that system is that, as well as the front pockets you can use to further customize. It's just, I can't explain it here. It's awesome. Go check out their videos. The Decker system is so cool. But what I would do is I would hook this sheath inline right to the frame, and sandwich that in between the main pack bag, so this was concealed. I'm pretty confident with their medium to large sizes, this will be fully concealed. Basically, this is right there, right behind your back, like a little quiver. So something happens, boom, whip this out, ready to go, and then just, well, load it, and then you're ready to go. Realistically speaking, though, if I was in the States, what I would be carrying would be either a revolver from my good friends at BFR, either 44 mag or 454 Casual, or I'm very partial to the 1911. I'm sorry, I know they're heavy, but they're beautiful. Just look at this freaking gorgeous Nighthawk 1911. Oh, I love this thing. But that in like a 10 mil or something, you're golden. Just for weight-wise, the mare's leg that I'd be carrying, the 44 takedown, That thing weighs about 5 pounds. With the sheath, it's about 6 1/4. It's not significant when your overall pack, you're trying to get under 40. A quick note on bear spray and a fresh view of guns. Guys, bear spray is actually pretty good stuff. If you're gonna think you're gonna ditch it and just take a gun, that's not wise. A gun is really your last resort. And at the end of the day, you don't want to harm an animal. At the end of the day, you want to protect your life and those with you, but you don't want to kill an animal if you don't absolutely need to. So, and again, a gun, what are you gonna do? That's the last possible effort when it's gonna charge you. Lots of times bears also do false charges. So I would have the gun at the ready, but I would rely first on bear spray because you can spray it. It goes like 30 feet and it's actually a good deterrent. So that's, and what I've heard is out of 100 cases of bear spray being used, only 2% did the person actually sustain some injuries. So I forget where I saw that. It was on a camping forum somewhere. It is supposed to be pretty good stuff, and it is what millions of people rely on every year. There are very few actual attacks and deaths by grizzlies and black bears every year. It's like a dozen across North America. So keep that in perspective and don't ditch the bear spray just because you have a gun. And again, use the bear spray first. Again, we're out there in nature. Let's do our part to preserve it. And don't freaking litter. Man, whenever I see litter, I just get mad. And that's just a lazy trash human. So don't litter. And today's blade partner, we have Halfbreed blades. These are super quality knives made to do work, and they look awesome. They also have tactical axes. Get your gimli on, and they all come with nice little sheaths that are adjustable. You can pop them right into your belt. They've got PALS compatible ones. Very nice stuff. All right, guys, stuff that I regretted bringing on this trip. Well, first of all, this backpack, it's a 50 liter. It was not enough. It had some good overall features, but just lame, crappy suspension system from the shoulder straps to the hip strap. Just not very good. Not very good. I would definitely pass this up for the Decker system. So, yeet. Pro tip, if you're going to hike and you have a backpack with really shitty hip retention, I have this holster belt from Black Arch Holsters. Like, it's a very solid rubber, and it's very stiff. And I wrap this around my waist to retain my little Halfbreed blades guy right there. But what it ended up doing by surprise was it was a nice bearing surface for my crappy hip retention to sit on. I kind of had this tight and then I had that tight above it, and it rested on this, and that helped put some of the pressure into my hips. Wasn't always the most comfortable, but it was much better than the factory setup from that guy. Ooh. Next up, like I said, I wouldn't have a standalone day pack system with separate hydration bladder. I would just get the Hill People gear system that links in with the kit bag to swap out this harness for a bag that's capable of carrying the same hydration bladder that I would use in my main pack and any other stuff I needed for the hike. So, eat. All right, guys, now for the list, the ultimate backcountry packing list for roughly a 3 to 4 day backcountry trip where you're not going to be able to resupply. Meanwhile, taking in this beautiful Dasco A-frame rolling rack outfitted with all these awesome guns. Peek inside the safe. What more can you ask for? Shout out to my buddy HVH for originally compiling this list. I've added to it, but the original list was hers. Thank you. So a backpack, approximately 65 liters. A sleeping bag rated for, well, wherever the heck you're going, how cold it's going to be. But you want it to pack down small. You want a sleeping pad because I'm 30 now, it makes a freaking huge difference. Multiple water bottles, probably always 2 to 3 liters at a time. Again, space your rests out accordingly. I say ditch the water bottles, go full camel and just hydration pack the shit out of it. A camera, okay, this list was from like 2012, so that's irrelevant now. Just have your phone. A travel mug, which is more important for coffee, so keep it fairly small. On the note of coffee, if you're a coffee snob, like myself, you can take an AeroPress. They pack down super nice and light and compact. But honestly, after I tried it, like just a little higher quality instant coffee packets are way nicer. You save the weight, you save the space, and it's just faster in the morning. You don't deal with coffee grounds then. They were kind of the way to go. Plus, when you're camping, everything tastes better, so you're gonna be fine, trust me. And if you can deal without the whitener and sweetener, great, because it's just more stuff you gotta deal with. Something to use as a bowl. Once again, I give you the jet boil. This thing has two, like this bottom part is a cup. The whole thing itself is a bowl. That's good. Because basically all your meals are going to fit into that. A spork, like this K-bar I got from Gear Pack. It's also got a little knife inside, so yippee-ki-yay. A knife fixed blade, such as this one from Halfbreed Blades. This thing is freaking cool. I loved having this on a belt at my side. There's always the ready to pull it out, and you're ready to go. I'll supplement this by saying having a folder is also nice. My wife used it to pop some blisters, so ew, but also it was used. A headlamp or flashlight. Again, I had a Surefire Stellata Pro with me. That thing was awesome. It charged up, had way more battery power than I ever needed, but it was awesome. Never hurts to have some toilet paper, because even if where you're going has outhouses, the journey there guaranteed will not. So plan accordingly. And as a follow-up to that, wet wipes, because swamp ass is just as bad as spicy, if not worse than spicy thigh syndrome. So don't let that take you down. And as a follow-up, hand sanitizer, probably not the worst idea. Toothbrush, if you miss the toothpaste for the weekend, so be it. Just scrub it up dub. Mosquito net to wear if it's super buggy. Trekking poles if you're bear spray and bear bell and gun if you're hiking into an area where you might be eaten. Bug spray, earplugs if your tent mates are atrocious. And then clothing, so good footwear, probably a good pair of hiking boots, and then also a secondary pair of, like I said, comfortable slides, water shoes, something that's just comfy. Socks, my rule of thumb is 2 pairs per day hiking, plus 1 just in case. Undies, again, 1 per day, plus 1 in case you meet a bear. For rain gear, either a poncho or some type of shell that's going to be water repellent. A toque, because bonus, you can sleep with it, and it's kind of like half a pillow on its own. And like an eye blindfold, so if you're hiking in the Arctic where it's going to be sun 24/7, like recently my friends did, they were in Iceland, and yeah, 24/7 sun, sleeping was a problem, so toque, natural, fold it down, you got blinders, great. Gloves, if you're going to be hiking or doing any scrambly bits, and you're going to be on all fours, have a hat, but definitely make it a boonie, because I'm loony for the boonie. Sunglasses are also recommended. For shirts, definitely the combat shirt for the hike in, hike out, any major day hikes. Whenever you're not in that and you're dousing it in the river to refresh it for the next journey, throw in a t-shirt or whatever else that's comfortable. Probably 1 per day, and that's good. Here's a fun one for you guys. Take a pillowcase, an empty pillowcase, and use your clothes, stuff it with your clothes, and that's your pillow. Because if you hike in a separate pillow just for yourself, your camping mates will make fun of you big time, because who does that? This is optional, but highly recommended. In general, when you change at the end of the day, changing into a fresh change of clothes, because you're on the trail, you can't really shower typically all the time, especially backcountry. Fresh change of clothes, strategic use of wet wipes, it's going to feel like a shower, more or less. But then when you get back to the trailhead and you get your car, just do everyone a favor. Have a fresh change of clothes, because you don't want to ride the long 8-hour drive home all just stinking. Oh yeah, for the dudes that like a leg pillow, what I did was I had a dry, so this is my personal tip. Take 2 dry bags with you, at least 2 dry bags. 1 dry bag for all your clothes, that way if you get rained on, your clothes stay dry. That's very important. Have a second dry bag to start throwing all your dirty clothes in. It's mostly sealed, so you're not going to smell that stank. And at nighttime, if you guys like a leg pillow like I do, you take that dry bag, you wrap it in your jacket, you zip it up, and then this is a comfy leg pillow. You can also store a bunch of air inside the dry bag, so it puffs it up, and it's kind of magical. And then finally, and yes, that is a crink, and it is freaking awesome. Okay, also that's a drawer, Type 2 8mm, really cool. Bren Mark III, or Mark 1-3, made in Australia. Lithgow. The Aussies, they did the Bren as well. That's a weird, rare French DMR post-World War II. Colt Python 4-inch. I love that gun. The PWS Mod 2 Mark 11. That is the AR. Sorry, the AK inside AR clothing. Long stroke piston AR. Really cool. And then above that, the GQ Armory Paladin 10. The sexiest, Gucciest AR-10 I own. And then a Auto Thompson 1928, which is one of my pride and joys. While I'm gushing about things, Rhino Metal Safe, freaking love that thing. I have two, there's another one over there. And the tool chest is also Rhino Metal's, their Ironworks series, 100% made in America. But okay, group equipment, this is the stuff as a group you want to carry in. You want a stove, basically the jet boil that will solve all your needs. Quarter the weight, it's awesome. Food, MREs are actually surprisingly good. Trail mix, dehydrated fruit, granola protein bars, some beef jerky. Fruit source bars, those were also surprisingly super satisfying and delicious. One thing we didn't bring that we thought we should have brought was like some Gatorade, like electrolyte stuff. Because again, sweating a ton, drinking a ton, you do want to also not only just rehydrate, but also replenish your electrolytes. So that was something to consider as well. She had dish towel and dish soap. Honestly, on a hiking trip, germs don't exist. So screw that stuff. Just rinse it off, rinse and repeat. Ziploc bags, if you have to backcountry and you have to pack out all your garbage, Ziploc bags were really nice for this. First aid pack, sunscreen, bug spray, which I think I already said, but it is important because bugs suck, so double up on the bug spray. She said card games, but again, this list was from 2012, 13, so just bring your phone and maybe like a battery pack of some sort so you can recharge it. Water filter, which I did say, or water tablets that purify water. And then probably a tent is a good idea. At least make it a little bit difficult for the bears to eat you. And some type of fire starter kit. Pro tip, change your socks often. Once you're bearing down and getting the miles behind you, your feet will sweat. And when they sweat lots, and if your shoes aren't perfect, like that's where you're gonna get blisters. So keep your socks dry, keep your feet happy. A signaling device like a whistle is also probably a good idea. A lot of backpacks have them built in now, but yeah. Holy man, this is a long ass video. I think I'm almost done. The last thing I did say I was gonna tell you was how I prepared as a flatlander for this trip. A flatlander that is about 20 pounds over his prime, again with a thigh gap that is less than exceptional. We'll go with that. It's getting better. I have dropped 10 pounds in the last couple months, and I'm working on more. Definitely fitness-wise, I've increased a bit, but I could still slim down a bit more. That'd be nice, especially when you're humping your meat bag body up 1.5 miles of elevation. That every pound counts. Anyways, how I trained for this trip. I basically had this on a base, and then I threw a weighted vest on, 40-pound weighted vest, and I'd supplement that by strapping on additional, basically dumbbells, or I would wear a full backpack. That I just chucked extra dumbbells in, which was this guy here. This is actually a great bag. This is kind of my go-to travel bag. I would replace this in a heartbeat, probably with Hail People Gear Lindy with the attaché pocket. Great for travel and laptop work, all that kind of stuff. But this thing was a workhorse. I threw weights in it. I didn't use any belt retention. It was all on my shoulders, which sucked. But then when I got to my trip, nothing else ever felt that bad. Even though I was only doing, 3 kilometers, 2 miles type thing, hiking with my dogs down the field, back and forth. That weight, I got up to about 100 pounds in the end. I did about probably a dozen, 15 treks like that, or walks like that. It was awesome. Sweat like a pig. I only washed this shirt at the end, and again, the merino wool inserts in there, they make a difference because this thing barely stunk at the end of all of that. So that's pretty darn good. I did wash it and then I took it on my trip, and then throughout the course of the trip, it was fine. The air packs make a difference. Mosquitoes can't really get at you anywhere except for I found in some spot in here, they just freaking loaded up on me somewhere in between my backpack and my elbow, and they just went nuts. So that would be another spot then for a little DEET action. So there you have it. Arm&Gun's tips for crazy, long, and intensive backcountry hiking trips. I'm sure there's people out there that have done the West Coast Trail that's even longer. I would love to do that. There's a bunch of other... Now that we've done this, we got kind of, my wife and I kind of got super hooked on it. We want to do a bunch more. So I'm really committed to dialing in my gear that much more. It's going to be Hill People gear all the freaking way, and UF Pro, and Camelbak, and a couple other things. Because, man, the right gear honestly makes such a big difference. And again, I can't stress it enough. When you've invested the amount of time and money to go and do one of these things, you're already playing the lottery with the weather. The weather can suck, but you're going out to do this. You want the best experience possible, and it's worth it. If you're spending $2,000 on a trip, spend $1,000, get yourself the right gear, because that $1,000 is going to be amortized over the perpetuity of trips you do in your lifetime. Because someone's like, this stuff, this is gonna last a dude that's like a soldier training every day for 3 months with gunsling and all sorts of stuff, rubbing against this and wearing it out. For a civilian like you and me and other normies, it's gonna last probably forever. Thanks a ton, guys. I super enjoyed making this video. It's very different from the typical video I do, much longer. And anyways, we're getting back into the good gun stuff next week. More shorts, more full-length videos. Stay tuned. Also have merch coming very soon too, courtesy of Bunker Branding. So excited to be partnered with those guys. Anyways, that's it. Thanks a ton. Love you guys. Catch you in the next one. Arm&Gun out. Boom diggity. Mount Assiniboine.
Here we are. And now the wind is done.
The wind is done. Check the mystery box for a butt plug. That was officially the sketchiest thing I've ever freaking done. We came down that. We came freaking down that. Good Lord. Good Lord. I'm alive. Oh, Chad, we're alive.
We're alive.
There's the lodge is back down there somewhere. And 5 o'clock is beer o'clock, so we gotta go. Hey, buddy boy.
That is unbelievable.
Wow. Thanks for not being a bear.